I'm Tom Collins. I'm Executive Director of Clean Elections, Arizona's nonpartisan voter education agency. And joining me today is a longtime Arizona journalist, Steve Goldstein, who has joined us to ensure that our debate program this year is better than ever. You may know Steve from his longtime experience on Phoenix's NPR affiliate and Arizona PBS, but we are so excited to have him join us as a moderator and to help us make sure that voters are getting all the information they need. So, Steve, thanks for being here.
Tom, thank you for the invitation. Great to be teaming up with you in Clean Elections. And for this particular conversation, I wanted to focus on the issues and how voters can learn more about what's going on. And in particular, why is the debate format as Clean Elections puts it together? You know, we've all known about debates for so long. Many of us are debate junkies and have watched them for years. But why are debates a good place to learn about specifically what issues are out there, and then also how the candidates feel about them?
Well, I think that the idea of a debate is to say, look, the democratic process is about more than just what happens on election day. It's about more than just the logistics of counting ballots. It's really about a community dialogue, how we talk to one another, and how we come together to make decisions that matter. And an important part of that is getting information about what we actually think as voters, right? So Clean Elections does this in a couple of ways. And one of the important ways is we actually go out and survey voters to talk to voters from different parties and around the state about what issues they think are most important. Because sometimes the issues are very obvious and very top of mind. Other times there may be different issues, as you go down a list. And we think that it's important to be able to look at that because, one way, in a polarized world, one way to start to understand where people are coming from is to look at the data where people are asked questions about how they're thinking about issues. So we think that's important. We also think it's important to be transparent with voters. So you can go look at this data on our website. It's the same information our moderator is going to look at and putting together their questions. So we think that that's a really important way of sort of, peeling back the lid on how this process works on the debate side, but also gives voters a metric to say, okay, is this attuned to where I'm coming from? Do I agree with voters? And do I understand, are these questions and the kind of responses candidates are giving, are they responsive to the issues that voters are talking about?
Now, these Clean Elections debates cover the entire state of Arizona. So I'm curious as to the top issues that Clean Elections has arrived at through all this research. Are they the same issues throughout the state? Are they perhaps prioritized slightly differently?
Right. So, there is, if you look at the data that's on our website that we have collected, you'll see that sort of the top three issues currently are, jobs and the economy, which is sort of a perennial issue. Immigration is an important issue, and then abortion is an important issue. And you'll see some variations both in terms of what party voters associate themselves with, and if they have no party. And you'll see different intensities around those issues depending upon how those the age of those voters and where they live. So, for example, voters in Scottsdale, may order those issues differently and do in fact order those issues differently than voters in Tempe and South Phoenix. And so our survey tries to capture that so that voters can understand, look, if let's say you live in Tempe and you're interested in understanding where voters in Avondale are coming from, because ultimately the Avondale representative, the Avondale senator has as much vote as the Tempe senator and the Tempe representative. So it allows for, cross-party information rights, which hopefully helps people to understand where people are coming from better in a polarized environment. But it also helps you to understand, hey, a voter in Northern Arizona has different questions and different issues than a voter in the southeast corner of the state.
And presumably this should affect the candidates as well, because if voters can find out what the information is, candidates can as well, and voters can perhaps judge them on that to see how well prepared they are for the issues that voters really care about, right?
Oh, I think that's right. I mean, we make sure that actually every candidate has the option or the availability to look at this data as well. So what we want to have is a common set of information on voter views that can be shared by voters, moderators like yourself who are asking our candidates about questions, and the candidates. And what that when we have that kind of common set of information, then you can really frame an objective conversation where everybody has an opportunity to weigh in.
Going to be an incredible election season. And Tom, as you mentioned, let's remind voters how important they are to the process. Remember, voters, your questions are going to be asked of the candidates who are trying to represent you. So please submit those questions, learn more about the research, watch the debates as well, watch them with groups and other voters, and trying to figure out just how important these races are to us all in 2024. And if you want any more information, please go to azcleanelections.gov. Again, that's azcleanelections.gov. For Clean Elections Executive Director Tom Collins, I'm Steve Goldstein.